Hi, my name is Grant. I'm the founder of Carnivore Revolution. The store came about from a point of necessity. I was stuck in the middle of COVID, and unfortunately, there were no other job prospects. So I started this company. The whole intention was to bring better quality food into the area, and it helped supplement my carnivore diet. Over the course of the last 4 years, it's been an adventure. It's been eye-opening for this specific industry, but overall, it's been an experience that I will never forget. I have to say that I honestly don't know if I'd recommend this for somebody, but all depends on the person, their skill set, and what have you. Over the next 10 minutes, I'm going to tell you a bit about my history, what brought me here, and how things are going from now. So without further ado, what brought me to carnivore? So carnivore was not planned. I actually wasn't planning dietary change whatsoever. Uh, I was in my mid 40s. I actually had just turned 44. And from there, um, well, I thought life was going good. It was in the middle of COVID. Things were a little sketchy. Business was okay. At the time, I was running a vape shop. So I was in the process of getting people off smoking during that time period. For the last previous 7 years, myself and my colleague, we'd gotten over 6,000 people off of smoking. And so that was a great accomplishment. And unfortunately, things were winding down. And like I said, in the middle of the pandemic, business wasn't all that great. Even though we were considered an essential business, we lost about 80% of our clients. Aside from that, nothing I can control. But what I could control was my diet. So in December of 2021, I had a health scare. Um, I wasn't in the best of shape to begin with. I weighed in excess of 360 pounds. I had GERD. I had type 2 diabetes. I had neuropathy in my feet for a long time. Um, and I had a lot of pain. I've been suffering from chronic pain since I was in my early teens from numerous vehicle accidents. I was, vehicle, motorbike, bicycling, rough and tumble fights, you name it. It all kind of culminates into later on in life, you're not having a good time. Aches and pains, and yeah. I'm sure many of you, if you're my age or close to my age, I'm 49 right now, probably had a dicey childhood as well. Um, Out of that, I had about two major incidents, two major car accidents. One, I was a pedestrian was when I was about 11 years old, and then the other one, when I was 26, I got into a major car accident. But I'm still here. I'm still walking. I'm still upright. I just suffer from a lot of pain. Um, So with regards to carnivore, initially it was I went keto. I looked at all the different videos that were out there, all the different influencers. I came across this one gentleman by the name of Dr. Eric Berg, really nice guy, had a lot of interesting information. Myself, in the past, I have history with holistic medicine. My mother's a was a practicing herbalist at the time, a long time ago. She isn't anymore, but with that information, I understood what Dr. Berg was talking about for the most part. As he went deeper, um, I started paying closer attention and started doing some analysis of my own. From then, I changed my eating habits. I immediately stopped drinking pop. He recommended stop drinking sugar and cut grains out. So I followed that path. It took a while. It took about, I'd say about sugar, like cutting sugar completely out of my diet was, I'd say it took about 2 to 3 weeks. When it came to grains, that took another couple of months. The whole fat adaptation thing for carnivore, that didn't take place for at least another 6 months because I wasn't focused on that. When it finally did happen, it was because I had actually developed some deficiencies on keto. I ate the wrong things. My analysis wasn't good enough. My information wasn't good enough. and there wasn't that many people really pushing the information at the time. This is, like I said, it was end of 2021 going into 2022. I think Sean Baker had just made his Joe Rogan debut around the same time. I might be mistaken. I may have just seen it at the time, but it wasn't that prevalent. Now, the reason for the name Carnivore Revolution, this is my previous company, was the vape shop, was called Smokers Revolution, and the idea that we're revolting against the system of what we were taught, that the only way to quit smoking was through cold turkey or through nicotine replacement therapy. Well, that wasn't true. What we found out is that the technology we were using had like a 21% success rate by itself and an 80% success rate with coaching. Well, we took up the coaching mantle and started to hand out free units for those that would turn in a pack of cigarettes, and we would coach them, and we saw great success. So figured the same thing should apply to, well, food. Well, not so much. There's too many things when it comes to food that people love. The taste, the texture, everything falls into that mix. The effects that it has on our bodies really isn't the key factor that a lot of people focus on. They focus more on the satiety that they get from it, the satisfaction, the enjoyment of making a meal for their family and friends and seeing people enjoy it. That's basically the thing. But realizing that some of the food that you've been taught to eat isn't actually good for you and is leading to further problems down the line, that's something I kind of wish we'd known. Now, my focus today is now on nutrition more so than anything else, because if I had known this information decades ago, of course I wouldn't be here. I'd be in a much better position. And so would a lot of other people. But the reality is we have been lied to. And so that's where Carnivore Revolution came about, is when I was doing my research into the diet itself, I was finding more and more information that we have been blatantly lied to. You have the Adventist, Seventh-day Adventist church that started their diets back in the early 1900s. They were pushing more vegetarian-based structures. The whole idea was that people were, well, basically horny, and they wanted to break that down. They were fairly strict society within that little enclave that they had, so they wanted to control people. And what better way to do it than to feed them grains? You know, Kellogg, the gentleman behind Kellogg's cornflakes, he was a huge proponent of very strange medical experiments and such. He would say feed people with eat cornflakes like there's no tomorrow, and then have 20-pound enemas. From what I understand, it wasn't all that beneficial down the road, because, well, basically you're feeding somebody with a lot of grains and you're causing constipation, and then when they don't have proper bowel movements, let's shoot them with a ton of water up their sphincter, and then completely destroy their intestinal system, completely destroy their microbiome and everything under the sun. So those people eventually died. Like, there was cases people died within a couple of years of having that effect happen to them. You know, the medical establishment has never been perfect. It's actually always been quite disastrous. Sure, there's been improvements and successes here and there and stuff like that, but it goes back from a history of barbarism. But that's beside the point. Now, one of the things that really took me aback from, with regards to like just eating differently, is I was told when I was in my early 20s, I was having heartburn, and it just wouldn't go away. It was causing me nothing but problems, and it didn't happen when I ate something. That was the bigger problem. It's like I would eat a pizza, life would be fine. But when I went to sleep, it would hit me in the dead of night. I would wake up, I would have heartburn, and then it would go away during the day. And then it would come back if I hadn't eaten anything in a certain time period. And this persisted for a while, so I finally went to a doctor after I'd actually stuck I'd thrown up a little bit in my mouth several times at night, and so I'd stuck my thumb down my throat, and it felt scarring on my esophagus. So I went to the doctor and they did some examination and they said, you have something called GERD. It's a gastroesophageal reflux disease, which is basically the little flap on your esophagus, esophageal doesn't close properly. So if you sleep in a certain different side, sleep on your side or basically sleep the wrong way, and the stomach acid is going to flow and cause and burn your esophagus. Not pleasant. I dealt with this for almost 25 years. Initially, when I went to the doctor, he said you can take this medication and you'd be stuck with it for the rest of your life. And he also said it could lead to stomach ulcers, potential cancers. So I said no. I'll stick with holistic methods. Holistic methods involve Pepsid AC, not really holistic, just over-the-counter medication. Aside from that, I tried multiple things from like bile salts to apple cider vinegar, drinking lemon juice at night, everything you could possibly imagine I thought of. And I tried, and it didn't work. One of them was quit smoking. So that's what kind of led me towards picking up vaping. So I tried cold turkey at one point, didn't work. I tried laser therapy, hypnosis, found out, yeah, that didn't work. So when vaping came along, I was actually able to quit. I smoked a pack and a half a day for 25 years. I smoked everything under the sun. I loved smoking. I justified smoking just like people justify their weight and justify their illnesses and their debilitations that they've incurred over life. They justify those things. Say, yeah, you know what? I'm happy with my body. Or, you know what? It's just part of growing up. No, it's not. Okay, and let me show you. Okay, for instance, I was involved in many, many vehicle accidents, and fights and stuff like that are really beside the point. I don't have really any major injuries that are associated with fights. All of mine are basically fighting with the ground and fighting with vehicles, and always in a losing situation. Um, so I developed a lot of inflammation over the years. I've torn the ACL on my knee. I've smashed the ligaments in my right knee. Um, I broke my ankle. Let's see, I twisted my right hip. I broke my clavicle. I broke my sternum. Uh, I've got um, I got a fracture in my upper spine. That was from when I was 11 years old. Now that one was the worst of it all because it didn't heal properly. It wasn't detected at the time either. I was hitting in a head-on collision with a car. I was crossing the street in the pursuit of a big gulp. That's the even worst part. I was going to 7-Eleven to fill up my big gulp, or Max. It was Max. I was going to fill up my Max drink. I can't remember what their size is called, but it's basically the big gulp. Any case, so I was hit head on in a school zone. The driver was going too fast for road in the area. Anyways, so they didn't detect the fracture at the time. So as I grew up, my spine healed incorrectly, and so I have a malformation in my back, and it causes excruciating pain. I remember when I was younger, not really younger, well, 10 years ago, I went to my chiropractor and they had actually put me through some x-rays. And they were actually quite shocked they didn't find arthritis in my lower spine and in my upper spine. Well, unfortunately, it's kind of presented itself today, but not to the degree that it could be. Like I was told when I was about 13 or 14, because I was having a lot of spasms and my back was going out on me constantly, that I'd be in a wheelchair by the time I was 18. They said I should have been put in traction when I was 11, but that never happened. So I'm not in a wheelchair. I'm upright, but there was many parts throughout my adult life that I've been bedridden, debilitated. I've owned canes since I was in my early teens. So this is not something I wanted to have throughout the rest of my life. I didn't want to be tied to, um, well, any type of medical equipment if I could afford it. I also didn't want to be tied to pharmaceuticals. So I tried my best, but I put on the weight just by doing normal everyday to day activities. I put on the weight. I tried going to the gym. and my injuries would prevent me from continuing. I would get maybe like 6 months into the gym, and then something would act up and just knock me out. So it was just a consistent battle of never able to actually get in enough activity. Like I raised horses, or sorry, I raised horses. I raised horses for 20 years. So I live on a farm. I get a lot of activity. I do a lot of yard work. But eating is the key thing that really separates us. If we're not eating the right foods and if we're drinking our sugars, eventually it catches up and metabolic disease sets in, and you start having insulin resistance, and you start having so many other issues, and they just compound over time. That's pretty much what's kept me going on this diet. Um, I want to get as much people off of junk food and garbage as possible, but it's more so, let's introduce better foods as opposed to just saying, no, don't eat that. Let's just introduce better options, or maybe take these things down a bit. You don't need to eat that Krispy Kreme cake every week. You can do that maybe once in a blue moon, or like never. Scariest thing I've ever seen. Take a dozen Krispy Kremes, soak them in um, what was that? Soak them in condensed milk, and then press them into a pan like bread pudding, and then you're going to cook the condensed milk into dulce leche, and or soak extra condensed milk into dulce leche, and then pour that over top of it and let it set up in the fridge, and then cut it up. Oh my God, that's beside the point. So ultimately, the reason of this video is to point out that I'm willing to put my hat in the ring. I want to help as many people. There's tons of influencers out there. I feel that some of them are giving misinformation. I don't know if it's deliberate, but a lot of people, they have products to sell. They have gimmicks they want to push, supplements they want to try and make some money off of. There's a lot of things out there. People just want to make money. And, I'm no different. Like, I started Carnivore Revolution with the intention to sell meat to the public. And things went okay, but unfortunately, it was a very dicey structure. People don't want competition. That's all I gotta say. I will do another video explaining the fiasco of that, but right now I just want to stick to my introduction. Aside from that, I also want to mention about my Skool. I've created a community on Skool. It's a new platform. Well, not new, it's been around for about 5 years, but it's just starting to gain traction. And the intention of that is to build a community of like-minded individuals. I've got a Facebook page. I've had it for like 3 years now. We got a lot of followers, but unfortunately, with the nature of my business and my past businesses, I'm shadow banned, so I can't really communicate with my clients all that much. So we've opted to move to Skool, which doesn't really have much censorship and allows us to have a little bit more control. Right now, it's free to join, but very soon we'll be moving it over to a paid structure because we want to, well, teach people, and we want to give them access to, well, I want to give them access to information. I've built a bunch of compendiums and resource guides to help people in this transition, and I've actually packaged them into a GPT. I spent the last 3 months, well, actually closer to a year, building out a series of guides and reference material for the carnivore diet. And then recently, as I was building a program to help people as basically a digital reference guide, and then I got introduced to GPT, and I then funneled that all into a learning tree for it, and then trained the AI how to answer carnivore-based questions. So it's a work in progress. It's almost done. We're testing it right now, and so far it's very, very wise. I like what I'm getting from it. So I'm going to leave you with that. More videos will come. If you want to subscribe, I appreciate it. Right now, I'll just tell you, I'm new at this. I've been running a store for the last decade. I'm not used to speaking on camera, but I'm used to speaking to customers every day, 5 days a week. Anybody can come in and have a conversation. And that's what I want to continue on Skool. I want to be able to sit down, have a conversation with anybody, and help them. That's what I'm here for. That's what I got into business for, is to help people. And that's why I'm here on YouTube. I'm going to continue trying to help people and, again, join the crowd of individuals that want to make the world a better place. All right. Have a good day. Thank you for listening.